Welcome back to PGA Updates Hub, where we break down everything happening behind the curtain of professional golf. Today we are looking at a story that has been quietly building since last August and just took the strangest turn yet. Tiger Woods is back in Florida, finished his treatment program in Switzerland, and returned home this month. On the surface, that sounds like good news for golf, but underneath that headline sits a much bigger question nobody in the sport wants to answer out loud. While Tiger Woods was gone, what happened to the agenda he was supposed to be leading? Now that he is home, does he still have the power to finish it? Let's go back to the beginning, because most fans only remember the headline version of this story. Last August at the Tour Championship, a brand new commissioner named Brian Rollup walked up to a podium and said something nobody expected from a PGA Tour executive. He said the goal was not incremental change. The goal was significant change. Rollup came from the NFL, not from golf, and he brought an outsider's patience for slow-moving institutions, which is to say he brought none at all. His very first move as the new head of the tour was to create something called the Future Competition Committee and hand the keys to a player, not a board member, who plays golf on weekends. An actual competitor. Tiger Woods. Think about how unusual that decision really is. Tiger had not finished a competitive round in years. His body has been rebuilt more times than most fans can count. By every traditional measure of relevance in professional sports, his influence should have been fading instead of growing. Yet Rollup built an entire reform structure around him and surrounded him with 6 current players including Patrick Cantlay, Adam Scott, Camilo Villegas, Maverick McNeely, and Keith Mitchell. Then he added 3 outside voices to give the group teeth. Joe Gorder, the policy board chairman, John Henry, who runs Strategic Sports Group's golf investment, and Theo Epstein, the man who rebuilt the Chicago Cubs from a century of losing into a championship roster. Epstein does not attach his name to symbolic committees. He attaches his name to teams he intends to actually fix. So what has this committee actually been doing for the last 10 months? This is where most casual fans lose the thread because the tour has been deliberately vague in public while moving fast behind closed doors. Internally, the committee has held more than 30 separate meetings involving players, partners, broadcasters, and board members. 3 themes have quietly solidified into something close to a real plan. The first is a tighter season. Instead of the bloated calendar fans have complained about for years, the tour is moving toward a season running from late January through early September, with somewhere around 21 to 26 events, instead of the current pile of more than 30. The second is something the tour is calling a 2-track competitive model. Picture one tier built around the best players in the world, competing against each other constantly, and a second tier underneath it for everyone else trying to climb up. It is not officially promotion and relegation in the European football sense, but it rhymes with that idea closely enough that several players have already compared it to exactly that during meetings at the Hero World Challenge last December. The third theme, and arguably the one with the most immediate impact, is player equity. Roughly 200 tour members are now equity holders in PGA Tour enterprises, representing more than $1 billion in ownership stakes, and the most recent round of grants shifted away from rewarding name recognition toward rewarding actual performance. That alone tells you something about which players were pushing hardest behind closed doors. For a while, this all moved with real momentum. Rollup kept showing up at press conferences using the word significant like it was a mission statement. Then on March 27th, everything stopped at once. Tiger Woods was driving home near his house on Jupiter Island, Florida, when his Land Rover clipped a trailer being pulled by a pickup truck and rolled onto its side. Climbed out through the passenger door, uninjured. The truck driver was also uninjured. But when deputies arrived, Woods showed signs of impairment. He agreed to a breathalyzer and blew 000s, which ruled out alcohol completely. Then he refused a urine test, which is the test used to detect medication or drugs. Investigators said they believed something other than alcohol may have affected him, though no substances were ever found inside the vehicle. He was charged with driving under the influence, property damage, and refusing to submit to a lawful test and held for 8 hours before being released. 4 days later, Tiger posted a short statement. He said he understood the seriousness of the situation and that he was stepping away from golf for a period of time to seek treatment and focus on his health. He withdrew from the Masters for the 2nd year in a row. He declined the chance to captain the 2027 Ryder Cup team. And quietly, without much fanfare, he stepped away from the one seat in professional golf that mattered more than any trophy he had left to win, the chair of the Future Competition Committee. A tour spokesperson made one line clear at the time. Woods would not be part of the next committee meeting, and the work would continue without him. Read that sentence again, because it tells you everything about how this organization actually views power. Work would continue without him. A Florida judge later granted Woods permission to leave the country for inpatient treatment, and he spent the following weeks at a facility in Switzerland. He briefly returned home in May around the same time his girlfriend Vanessa Trump revealed she was undergoing treatment for breast cancer. By mid-June, reports confirmed he had completed the program and returned to Florida for good. His legal situation, however, is far from finished. Prosecutors have reportedly moved to subpoena medical records connected to statements he made about substances around the time of the crash, and the underlying DUI charge is still working its way through Martin County Court. So Tiger Woods is home. But here is the part of this story that nobody is saying directly. While he was gone, the Future Competition Committee did not freeze waiting for him to come back. It kept moving. In early June at the Memorial Tournament, Roll-Up told reporters the group had made what he called substantial progress on the new competitive structure and confirmed the next committee meeting was scheduled for June 9th, without mentioning whether Woods would be part of it. He reiterated that the two-track model remains the leading direction and that the tour is now targeting 2028 for the larger structural changes to take effect. Smaller adjustments could arrive even sooner. Think about what that actually means. The committee bearing Tiger's name kept building the exact framework he pushed for, using exactly the urgency Roll-Up promised on day one, and it did so for nearly 3 months without the chairman who was supposed to be driving it. If the agenda can move forward this smoothly without him in the room, then what was his actual leverage inside that committee to begin with? Was Tiger Woods the irreplaceable engine forcing change through a resistant institution? Or was he the public face attached to a plan that Roll-Up and Epstein were always going to execute regardless of who sat at the head of the table? That is the real tension waiting for Tiger the moment he walks back into that room. Does he reclaim the same authority he had in August when this committee was first built around him personally? Or does he discover that 10 months of meetings happened without his voice in the room, and the framework has already taken a shape he did not fully choose? Roll-Up has not said publicly whether Woods will resume the chairmanship immediately or whether his role shifts now that the structure is closer to finished. Nobody inside the tour wants to be the person who answers that question directly, while Woods is still working through both a recovery program and an active legal case. There is another layer here too that fans keep overlooking. This committee was never just about Tiger Woods proving a point. It was built during a moment when the entire business model of professional golf was under outside pressure. Strategic Sports Group's investment did not arrive as a gift. It arrived as leverage demanding faster decisions in a sport that finally behaves like a modern media product instead of a museum protecting its own traditions. Roll-Up's background at the NFL trained him to treat every offseason like a renovation project. He does not appear to be the type of executive who lets a single personnel situation freeze an entire institutional strategy, no matter how famous the name attached to the chairmanship happens to be. That is exactly why this moment matters so much. Tiger built his entire legacy on being the player nobody could replace on a leaderboard. Now he faces a very different test. Can he still be the one name nobody can replace inside a boardroom, or has the last 10 months already proven that the tour can build its future with or without him sitting at the head of the table? What we do know is this: the reforms most fans actually care about are no longer theoretical. The shorter season is close to locked. The two-track model has a target year. The equity expansion already happened months ago. 5 years from now, golf fans may remember this entire saga as the moment the PGA Tour finally modernized itself, or as the moment the sport quietly built Tiger's idea without him in the room when it mattered most. So here's the question for the comments. Does Tiger Woods walk back into that committee room as the same chairman he left back in March, or does he find an organization that already moved on without waiting for him? Let me know where you stand below, because this debate is only getting louder as the summer schedule unfolds. Roll-Up has already promised another public update before the Tour Championship in August, and we will be breaking it down the moment it drops. If you want to be here when that happens, make sure you are subscribed to PGA Updates Hub so you never miss where this story goes next.